Assalamu alaikum everyone. This is the 7th video in the series Thesis Writing with Microsoft Word. I am Mohammed Taylor. You're welcome. In this video we're going to discuss working with tables. Specifically, we're going to look at how we insert tables into our document, and once the tables are in place, how we insert additional columns and rows, and in cases where we do not need existing columns and rows, how we delete them. And at the end of the day, you may want a table entirely deleted, so we're going to see how we do that. Let's jump directly into our Word document, which is the file we saved under the name My Report. This is the file we created in the previous videos. And so suppose we want to insert a table on this particular page, we simply go about inserting it through one of two ways that can achieve the same objective. The first method we are going to see is that whichever method you want to go about inserting your table in Microsoft Word is, you have to go to the ribbon and go to insert. Once you click on insert, you have the tables group, and you can now click on the table where you have options on how to insert your table. Now, one of the options is you can use the grid you are seeing here directly, or you can use the insert table button in the list. So let's look at how we insert table using the grid first. So each cell here is representing a column and a row. So this is column 1, row 1, 2 columns in one row. You can see it is indicated there, 2 by 1 table. Suppose we want 4 columns and we want to insert 3 rows. That's how we go about it. Simply click and then you have the table in place. Once you have the table, then you can enter your text into the cells of the table. The default cell that accepts whatever you type in is the first column, first row, as you can see here, which is, in other words, the first cell in the table. So suppose we want to type something here, we can type anything. Let me type just A, and suppose I want to type in the second cell, that is the column 2, row 1 cell. We can either click into the cell directly, or the easiest way to go about it is to press the tab button on your keyboard, and you will find yourself in the next cell in the same row. So I'm going to type B, and suppose we go to the next cell and we type C, and we go to the last cell in that row and we type something like E, and we realize that we need to include a column between C and E where we should type our D. And it means that here we are interested in inserting a column. So like we saw in inserting the table, there are 2 ways to go about it. Similarly, if we want to insert columns into tables, there are 2 ways you can go about it. The first way is to look at the boundary between the columns in where you want to insert the new column. For example, here, if you look at it and you hover around, click anywhere and you hover around, you see that a plus button comes out. Here, you can click the plus button and then a column will be inserted. Let me press Ctrl plus Z so that I can undo that. The other way is to select either of the columns, whether we select C or we select E. And when we want to select a column, actually you point your mouse pointer at the top of the column. The mouse pointer will turn into a black arrow pointing directly at the top of the column. And once you click your mouse button, it highlights the column in that table. So suppose we want to highlight the column with a C. We can now click on the mouse button and then the column is highlighted. Once the column is highlighted, it is now either we insert the new column to the left of the highlighted column or to the right of it. I'm going to insert it to the right of the highlighted column because we want D to appear between C and E. So I'm going to right click to insert a new column. Once you have highlighted the column, right click and then these options will come out. One of the options you are going to see there is insert. So you click on insert, and because we are dealing with columns, we can only insert the new column to the left of it or to the right of it. And here we said we want to insert it to the right of it, so I click the insert to the right, and you can see that a column has been inserted. So you can see these are the 2 ways we can insert a new column into a table. So if I type the D there, it will stay there. Now suppose I want to delete a column. I will still highlight a column. Suppose I want to delete the column with B entry. I just highlight the column B, and I talked about highlighting a column. So I have highlighted it. If I want to delete the column, I right click in a gray area that has been highlighted. And then once I right click on it, you can see one of the options is delete column. So we have deleted the column. You can delete multiple columns by highlighting the first column and keeping your mouse button down and drag to where you want to include the additional column. Now we have highlighted 2 columns. If I right click again, I can see the delete columns there. And if I click, the two columns are gone. So if I undo by pressing Ctrl Z to bring back my columns there, you'll see that I can now have additional columns if I want. So we put our bead back. Now suppose we want to add more rows. There are also two ways to insert a row into a table. One of the ways is also to just hover around and then see that there's an insert button that in the form of a plus sign. If you click it, the row is inserted between where you want it. You may not notice what I've done. For example, if I have this is 1 and this is 3, now I want to insert a row between row 2 and row 3. Then I hover around until I see this plus sign. If I click it, it will insert a row between row 2 and row 3. If we want additional rows, we can just click the button and then it will insert additional rows. So that's how we can add rows to a table using the plus button. Different way of doing it is to highlight a row and then insert the row at the top or the bottom, depending on where you want it. For example, if I want to insert a row above this highlighted row, and how do I highlight a row? Highlighting a row means pointing to the left of the table directly on that row. Then your mouse pointer will turn into the 1 o'clock direction, and then you click, then it highlights the row. So now you go to the gray area of the highlighted row and right click. Once you right click, you see one of the options is insert. Then you go to insert, and then you can now, since we are dealing with rows, we can only insert rows above or below the highlighted row. So if I want to insert below it or above it, let me go for above, so that you can see that I have inserted the row above it, and we have an additional row. So this is how we insert rows in tables. We can as well go and delete some rows if we want. We can highlight the row we want to delete, or if we want to delete 2 rows at the same time, we just press our left button and then drag to highlight the 2 rows, and then we can go to the gray area and right click so that we can see delete rows there, and then click, and the rows are gone. So this is how we go about deleting or inserting rows or columns. And if we want to delete the entire table, well, a table has a handle that once you click on will highlight the whole table, and this is the handle at the top left corner of the table. And once you click on this handle, it highlights the whole table. So if you want to delete the table entirely, you go to the handle and then right click on the handle. Once you right click, we're going to see that the delete table option comes up, and if you click it, the table is gone. So this is how we operate with tables in this manner. This is how we operate with tables in terms of insertion, deletion, and so on and so forth. So we have come to the end of this video, and I hope you found it interesting. If so, let's meet in the next video. Thank you for watching.